They won't even know why they're thinking about you. They'll just feel it, a quiet presence in their mind, always lingering. Their thoughts, bent. Their emotions, subtly shifted. Their decisions, somehow shaped by you. And the wild part? They'll have no idea why. Machiavelli never used the word obsession, but he described it over and over. He said people are ruled by two forces, love and fear. But there's something deeper, something he hinted at but never named: obsession. Obsession isn't just about desire or attraction. It's not a crush. It's not even infatuation. It's about control. When someone is obsessed with you, they don't just think about you. They orbit you. They rewire their lives around you. You start appearing in their thoughts when they're alone. They adjust how they speak, how they dress, how they act, because you exist, because you are now part of their internal world. And here's the thing, you can create that. You can engineer obsession. You can sculpt it slowly, deliberately. Just like Machiavelli influenced kings and commanders, not through force, but through something more subtle, more terrifying: mystery. Because obsession doesn't begin with what you give, it begins with what you withhold. That's the first principle. Do not make yourself too available. Do not flood someone with attention. That's the fast lane to comfort. And comfort, it kills curiosity. Curiosity is what keeps people looking, wondering, trying. What you want is to starve them, not in a cruel way, but emotionally. Starve them of certainty, make them unsure, make them guess. Obsession starts when they don't know what you really feel, when they can't tell if you admire them or if you're just being polite, when they're not sure if your last message was genuine or calculated. And that's the loop, the mental loop that keeps them coming back. Because the human brain hates an unsolved puzzle, so become that puzzle. Leave some texts unanswered. Let silence stretch just a few beats longer than expected. Pull away right as they lean in. Do this right, and their mind becomes your echo chamber. You're no longer just a person to them. You're a question that refuses to be solved. Machiavelli never gave full answers. He never gave full loyalty. He gave people just enough to stay curious. He understood that certainty kills the chase, but uncertainty, that lights the fire. Once you've created that spark, through your silence, your mystery, it's time to use a technique Machiavelli would love: mirroring. But not full mirroring, not the lazy kind where you copy someone's words or gestures. No, this is strategic reflection. You reflect fragments of what they desire, not the whole thing, just enough to make them feel like you get them, but also like there's more to uncover, always more. They want ambition? You show vision, ruthless, sharp, impressive. They want vulnerability? You offer a flicker of it, and then you hide it behind a joke. They crave intensity? You give them a taste. Then you vanish into a calm that leaves them dizzy. Because the mind doesn't obsess over what it understands. It obsesses over what it almost understands. And that almost is where your power lives. Now, once you've got their attention, once they're analyzing your texts, replaying your words, trying to decode your moods, you begin the next phase: intermittent reinforcement. This is psychological warfare, the soft kind. You give them a warm message one day, then nothing the next. You offer praise, then pull back with cool detachment. You're close, then you vanish. This isn't being flaky. This is building a dopamine loop in their brain. Like gamblers at a slot machine, they keep pulling the lever. Your messages, your Instagram story, that last moment you locked eyes, hoping for the next high. And that hope, that's stronger than love. That's addiction. Because what you're offering isn't certainty. You're offering potential. possibility, just enough to keep them chasing, enough to keep them believing that the next hit of validation is just around the corner. Machiavelli knew that people carry pain, abandonment, rejection, insecurity. And here's the trick: you don't create that pain. You just position yourself as the only one who seems to understand it. You listen, not to fix. You observe, not to judge. You become the one person who sees the hidden parts of them. And that's the moment obsession deepens. Because now you're not just attractive, you're healing. Being around you doesn't just feel good, it feels safe. It feels like coming home. And when people associate your presence with relief, with peace, with the version of themselves they wish they could be, they won't walk away. They can't. But here's the paradox. The more you ask for obsession, the less you get. You don't ask for their loyalty. You don't chase it. You provoke it. You plant it. You build the craving, and then you let them offer it. Let your absence scream louder than your presence. Let your silence burn more than your words. Let your unpredictability torment their imagination. Machiavelli never begged to be remembered. He became unforgettable because no one could figure him out. You do the same. Don't show people a single polished version of yourself. Be unpredictable. One day you're playful, even soft. The next, focused, distant. That contradiction, that friction between warmth and coldness, mystery and intimacy, that's where obsession lives. People don't chase what they already understand. They chase what haunts them. And the haunting begins when you become a mirror they can't stop looking into, wondering what's real and what's just a reflection of their own hunger. Now that they're circling you, wondering, guessing, decoding, it's time to deepen the bond, but not through closeness, through timing. Machiavelli understood something we still overlook today. Control isn't always about what you say, it's about when you appear, and more importantly, when you don't. Want to make someone obsessed? Learn the art of unfinished moments. Leave a conversation just as it starts to get vulnerable. Let tension rise, then disappear. Send a message that hits them right in the soul, then go quiet. Don't explain, don't resolve. Let that energy hang. It lingers longer than words ever could. People don't remember everything you say, but they remember how they felt when you left. That emotional cliffhanger? It keeps them checking their phone, analyzing their last message, replaying every interaction. They'll wonder, did I mess something up? Did I say too much? Why haven't they answered yet? You're not being manipulative, you're becoming memorable. And just when they start to feel your absence, leave them a trace. A single breadcrumb, a liked post, a vague comment, a playlist you once shared. Something small, tiny even, that reignites their hope that they still matter to you. That maybe, just maybe, you're still thinking about them. This is the magic of mental real estate. You don't have to be there physically, you just need to occupy their thoughts. And here's where it gets powerful. Once you're in their head, you start to reflect their inner world back to them, but never completely. This is distorted mirroring. You say what they've always felt but never voiced. You notice things they thought no one saw. You reflect their dreams, their fears, their hidden shame, but just slightly off. Just enough to make them feel seen, but still misunderstood. And what do people do when they feel misunderstood by someone they want to be understood by? They keep coming back. They try harder. They overshare. They dig deeper. Because they want to correct the mirror. And you never let them. You always stay one step away. Almost there, almost clear, almost yours. Nothing common is desired. Nothing easy is respected. Obsession is born in that gap between what they feel and what they know. So you become rare. Not just with your time, but with your approval, your attention, your presence. You don't give these things freely. You let them be earned. Your words aren't just compliments, they're currency. And the less you give, the more they crave. They don't fall in love with you, they fall in love with the idea of being chosen by you. And once they feel chosen, they'll fight not to be unchosen. This is the switch. You're no longer giving them affection, you're giving them access, and access becomes sacred. Just as they begin to feel close, pull away. Just as they think they figured you out, change. And never with cruelty, only with confusion. You don't make them hate you, you make them miss you. Miss the version of themselves they only felt when you were around. Miss the high, miss the clarity, miss the fix. And in that missing, the obsession grows. You're no longer just a person, you're a solution to pain they've carried for years. Pain you didn't create, but pain you seem to understand better than anyone. And that's when you offer them something subtle yet powerful: identity. You give them a role in your world. You're the only one who sees this side of me. I don't trust many people, but with you, it's different. These aren't just words, they're titles. They create a sense of being chosen, a feeling of being needed, a fear of being replaced. And once someone sees themselves as irreplaceable in your story, they'll protect that identity like it's oxygen. Because if they lose you, they don't just lose a relationship, they lose a part of themselves. That's obsession. It's not you they're chasing, it's the version of them that only exists with you. So, deepen it. Become the mirror for their most ideal self. Reflect who they wish they were, their most confident self, their most powerful, respected, desirable self. Now, every time they walk away from you, they feel less. Because you're not just a person. You're a portal to a version of themselves they didn't know they could become. They'll try to recreate that feeling with other people, other places, but it won't work. You were the catalyst, and that version of them only comes alive when you're near. Now you go one step further. You become their vault. You hold their secrets, not by asking, by listening, with silence, with stillness. You don't interrupt, you don't judge, you witness. And in that witnessing, you become the safest place they've ever known. You don't react to their trauma, you honor it. You don't try to fix their shame, you accept it. Now you're not just close, you're irreplaceable. You hold pieces of them no one else does, and they begin to fear, quietly, deeply, what might happen if they ever lost that. And that fear is the final thread that binds obsession. Not fear of punishment, not fear of drama, fear of absence. Fear of what life would feel like without the person who knows them best, who sees them fully, who helped them see themselves. You are no longer a human being. You are a presence, a haunting, a soft echo in every moment they question themselves, a voice in their mind that gently, quietly says, "You're not who you were until you met me." And that voice, that becomes everything. Now that you're embedded in their thoughts, their feelings, their very sense of self, this is where your true influence begins. You don't have to demand anything, you don't have to beg, because they're already yours. Not because you hold them tightly, but because you haunt them. At this point, your silence speaks louder than any declaration. If you go quiet, they'll reach out. If you delay your replies, they'll scroll through old conversations, reading between the lines, looking for clues, replaying memories like sacred texts. Machiavelli understood this. True control doesn't need enforcement, it needs mystique. When someone is obsessed, they'll start chasing what they already had, because you've subtly changed. You've returned from your silence, but not quite the same. You're colder now, sharper, more composed, less emotionally generous. You're still you, but it feels like something's shifted, and they can feel it. That subtle distance, that's the echo of power. You don't explain the change, you let them feel it. And because they once felt warmth from you, this new coldness hits harder. Now, they're not just trying to win you, they're trying to fix something that might not even be broken. This is where obsession stops being about you and starts becoming about them, about their own self-worth, their own identity, their own mistakes. They start asking, did I do something wrong? Were they always like this and I just didn't see it? You haven't told them anything, but they've told themselves 1,000 stories. That's the power of mystery. It allows their own imagination to do the work. Now it's time to leave a mark that lingers. Every powerful figure has one, a signature, a scent, a phrase, a gesture. Something so subtle but so specific it becomes an anchor in the mind. You need the same. A word only you use. A particular tone in your voice when you say something serious. A specific way you touch their arm when you're making a point. These are your fingerprints, invisible but unforgettable. And suddenly, they hear your voice in a song lyric, see your face in a stranger's expression, feel your presence in silence. Because you've become more than a person, you've become a symbol. You are now part of their emotional architecture, a presence they carry even when you're gone. But you don't stop there. You build a shared mythology. You paint futures, speak of places you'll go together, moments you'll share, dreams that feel too specific to be fake. And then you let it all hang, suspended, unfinished. Not because you're cruel, but because an open loop keeps the mind active. It keeps the story alive. They begin to ask, what if? What if you were the one? What if they lost the one person who truly saw them? What if that dream you spoke of really could have happened? You haven't offered guarantees. You've offered possibility. And nothing hooks the human mind like potential left unresolved. Now you introduce the final ingredient, the most powerful one, fear. Not fear of you, fear for you. Fear of losing you. You don't threaten to leave. You don't make ultimatums. You simply imply, with timing, with tone, with subtle disappointment, that you could walk away, that others have, that it's happened before. You say things like, I just don't stay where I don't feel seen. Sometimes I think people don't realize how rare I am until I'm gone. I've been learning to pull back when I feel too much. Now, they're not just trying to win you, they're trying to avoid losing you. You've made them believe that staying close to you is a privilege, one they must protect. Because if they lose it, they won't just miss you, they'll miss the version of themselves you brought out. And this changes how they act. They start to correct themselves. They anticipate your preferences. They adjust their tone, their decisions, their behavior before you even say a word. Why? Because they want to keep earning you. You haven't set rules, you've set energy, and energy is harder to fake. You're no longer explaining what you expect, you're embodying it. And now they're chasing your approval, not your affection, your respect. And once someone starts chasing your respect, you've reached a level deeper than love. Now, every absence of yours becomes a test, every quiet moment, a mirror, every delayed reply, a reminder that your loyalty is not automatic, it's selective, and that makes it sacred. Surface-level obsession fades, but obsession built on ideology, on identity, on self-worth, that lasts. You casually drop truths that reshape how they see the world, not with force, with elegance. I don't believe loyalty should ever be begged for. I think silence reveals more than words ever could. I admire people who lead themselves, not just follow others. These aren't statements, they're standards. And if they agree with them, if they start repeating them, they're not just obsessed with you, they're becoming more like you. They're not seeking your attention, they're seeking your alignment. Now, you're no longer a person in their life. You're a philosophy they live by, a set of values they feel elevated by. They don't just love you, they want to be you. Because you filled a void in them they couldn't even articulate, a craving to feel seen, powerful, desired, but not in a shallow way, in a spiritual way. And when they try to walk away, they'll find that every other connection feels flat, too safe, too simple, too clear. Because you weren't just a person, you were a doorway, a portal to a version of them they loved more. And now that it's closed, every relationship after you will feel like a downgrade. That's how Machiavelli moved. He never told people what to do. He made them want to do it. He planted ideas like seeds, watered them with praise, and let others believe it was their idea all along. That's the art of control without resistance. You're not manipulating, you're inspiring. You're not pushing, you're pulling. And the further you pull back, the closer they come. Because you're no longer just you, you're what they believe you are. You've become a myth, a presence that whispers in decisions, lingers in silences, and lives in their imagination forever.